even the organizations that I care deeply about, the Democratic spectrum, the stalwarts, the ones that share my values, they become dogmatic after this point in time. And they start, expecting everybody to check off the list, whatever their pet projects are. And we're starting to break that down. But this is part of what I mean about midlife and a new kind of politics. It's not quite there yet. We're at the cutting edge of it, and this is part of what we have to build on, I think, because we have applications for government as well. We can apply these same principles using technology, using the internet, almost like an open source government, where people can start. People can start creating their own ways of organizing themselves and using government in smart ways. And we haven't really thought through all the ramifications, but it has enormous potential. So, all right. Gentlemen in the back. Sorry, everybody. I'm just trying to get you.
I just wanted, you spoke about...
I'm sorry, we got go ahead. I was actually pointing in the back, but I apologize. Go ahead. Thank you.
You spoke about the trade-off between higher education funding and prisons, which is something that I'm very interested in. I'm just wondering, what could the federal government do, given that state criminal policy and prisons are a matter for the states, and what would you do as president to try to, decrease mass incarceration of,
Well, did everybody hear the question? It basically, what can we do to reduce mass incarceration rates that we're seeing? Because it's a huge drain on our resources. Well, let me be clear. There are violent criminals who just have to be locked up. We don't want them wandering around our neighborhoods. And whatever excuses there were for how they ended up violent, poverty, abuse, whatever it is, they still have to be incapacitated. So, to be very clear, I'm not romantic about criminality. Now, that was one of the mistakes that I think was made in the 60s, was this notion that somehow you excuse violent behavior. You don't. On the other hand, nonviolent, low-level drug offenders who have been swept up and are locked up and then actually get an advanced degree in criminality during the 5 or 6 years that they're incarcerated, so that by the time they graduate from this institution at the age of 24 or 25, are now completely unemployable because they've got a felony record. Continue to be largely illiterate, but have learned how to act pretty nasty. That makes no sense. And so what the president, I think, can do is to use the bully pulpit to try to explain and create a political space for state legislators and governors to start implementing new policies. For example, drug courts show great promise. It's a fancy-sounding name for basically a diversionary program where the judge takes a nonviolent first-time drug. Because rather than put you in jail and slap you with a felony, we're going to send you into a drug treatment program. You've got a very tight probation. If you are illiterate, then you're going to have to get remedial education. And we will then set up a series of transition programs so that at some point you can get a job. And it's not perfect, but the recidivism rates for those who participate in that program might be 30% recidivism compared to 60 to 65% recidivism, and you just send that individual into the penal system. Right? So setting up those kinds of programs, lifting up what works, encouraging experimentation on the part of the states, and explaining the budgetary implications of what's going on. I think is absolutely true. All right, I've got time for a couple more questions. Everybody's hollering. I can't call on everybody. This is why we have the internet. This side. What side is this? What side is this? All right, right here. This is right here. This is what Senator Clinton said, heavy. It's not, it hasn't worked so well since the Bosnia episode. But look, I mean, here's I'm sorry, I thought you guys could hear me because of the mic. Basically, the question is, this whole commander-in-chief issue, well, it's been portrayed as if my argument for being commander-in-chief has to do very narrowly with the fact that I opposed the war. What's the broader argument? And just to put the problem in context, look, we are accustomed to assuming that the longer you're in something, then the more knowledgeable you are. That's the assumption. And you know, there's some legitimacy to that. Experience hopefully yields some wisdom. I think everybody here also recognizes that experience sometimes doesn't yield wisdom. It just gets people set in their ways. It gets them thinking conventionally. It gets them to engage in groupthink. Right? I mean, so there are all kinds of pluses and minuses. It depends on how you use your experience, how you process your experience. And so, since the start of this campaign, people look at me and they say, you know, he's probably 35 years old. I've never heard of him before he made a speech at the Democratic National Convention. And so, if he would just wait for the next 8 years or 12 years, and then he had nice gray hair, and he looked like a senator, and then, oh yeah, so thanks for I'm still on TV though. When he starts looking like Chris Dott, then we'll feel comfortable with his commander-in-chief. But the reason I make this point is because if you really think about it, the issue is not so much people being concerned about my experience. The issue is the pass that they give Senator Clinton and Senator McCain about their experience. I mean, we should all be, everybody should ask questions about how well qualified somebody is to be commander-in-chief because it's an awesome responsibility, and the truth is there's nothing that prepares you for it. Right? But the reason that it's asked about me and not about Senator Clinton and Senator McCain is just longevity. They've just been around long. It's not because of the judgments they make. It's not because of the policies that they promote. I mean, the truth is, the major foreign policy disputes that I've had with Senator Clinton, let's acknowledge that there's some overlap. The major disputes that I've had with her, I'm right and she's wrong. Iraq is one example where her and McCain were wrong. All their experience simply led them to follow politics and ideology instead of making good independent judgments. But that's not the only example. Remember at the beginning of this campaign when I said I would meet not just with our friends, but with our enemies. So, Clinton, McCain, Bush, all lit it. Oh, what an idiot. He would be used for propaganda purposes. But that's, on reflection, well, no, not really. The fact of the matter is that John F. Kennedy said it very clearly. He said we should never negotiate out of fear, but we should never fear to negotiate. Our best foreign policy position, bipartisan foreign policy, is one in which Nixon meets with Mao. Kennedy meets with Khrushchev. FDR meets with Stalin. Reagan meets with Gorbachev. If we can have meetings with genocidal killers like Mao and Stalin, we can't meet with Hugo Chavez. There was no basis. There was no basis for that criticism other than that Senator Clinton and Senator McCain and George Bush, they were mouthing the conventional wisdom of Washington. A fairly recent conventional wisdom because that didn't used to be the conventional wisdom. That was the conventional wisdom that developed post 9/11 when we were in a fever of fear, and George Bush announced there was an axis of evil, and Washington, afraid of being beat over the head, as being unpatriotic and soft on terrorism, went along with it. It's not experience. Now, I understand this isn't helpful in a 30-second conversation. But what you can say is, look, Senator Obama serves on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which a lot of people don't know. I've got much more experience than Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, the current George Bush, when it comes to foreign policy. That I've lived overseas. I have family that lives overseas. That on not just Iraq, but how we approach Iran, how we deal with issues of nuclear proliferation, that I've been ahead of the curve. I worked with Dick Lugar, the Republican chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the Republicans in charge, to pass the next stage of Lugar None, which now it's Lugar Obama, which helps countries interdict and lock down loose nuclear activities. So this notion that somehow, I'm just kind of, I lucked into being opposed to Iraq, but otherwise, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just not one about that. Okay, I've got time. I think I know everything. I mean, she's just been really. She's got 8 people pointing at her. So I hope this is a good question. It better be good.
This is a question you've never had before.
I've answered a lot of questions.
Yes, you have, but not this one. As president, would you please, on your own, without congressional approval, like the head of Australia did, would you please apologize on behalf of America to the Native Americans and the African Americans? We've already apologized to the Japanese Americans, but the other 2 groups need an official apology.
Well, I think it's an interesting question. I think the words have power, and I think that creating an atmosphere where those groups, Native Americans and African Americans, feel that their tragic history is in power could have a lot of power. I don't make it guarantee that I'm going to do that. That's going to be the first thing that I do. No, I mean, I just want to be realistic here. One of the things that I think is very important is to win the trust of the electorate that you're dealing with their immediate problems and that you're not targeting particular groups or identity politics. In particular, I'll be the first African American president. I know that's you've noticed that. I don't want Joe Lunchbucket to feel like the first thing I do is to say, let's have America apologize for slavery, which will make, I think, a lot of folks that we need to be working together feel as if they're not being thought of and that I'm just president of one set of people instead of all people. I do think maybe it's my second term. Who has a certificate for me, and she did a wonderful report. This is Hannah. How old are you, Hannah? I have a 9-year-old. This is a poem. I'm going to read Hannah's poem. Is that all right? This is Hannah's poem. She didn't have it with her. You want to read it yourself? No, I figured. I was trying to get you off the hook there. That's what I figured. All right. I think if our president was nice, strong, and bold, he'd be like Kennedy, as I know and have been told. You are a leader like Martin Luther King, and nothing can hurt you, not even a serious thing. You'll be fun and great to hang around. You'll be powerful, and you'll never hit the ground. If our president would stand for us tall, I'm telling you, it would surely help us all. That is Hannah Kasravi, age 9, Los Altos Hills, California.